Do you love the look of the decor at places like Kirkland's, Pottery Barn, West Elm, all of the high-end stores, but don't shop there very often because it can get really expensive really quick? Well, same. So in today's video, I am duping a ton of high-end items for spring and Easter to help you get that beautiful high-end look for a fraction of the cost. This is Whiskey and Whit. My name is Whitney, and a huge thank you to Hungryroot for sponsoring today's video, and also a huge hello and welcome back to my whiskey craft buddies who come back each week to DIY with me. I am so glad you're here. If you're not already a craft buddy, no worries. You can join us by clicking subscribe down below, and you can DIY along with us. Now let's get into the first dupe. I've been seeing these bunny serveware platters everywhere for Easter, and Pottery Barn was selling them for $89 a pop. So first, you can just find them at other stores much cheaper that look just like Pottery Barn. These are the options at Michael's that I saw, and I also saw some really pretty ones at Joann's, like this bowl, a larger serving bowl, as well as a platter. But here is where the magic happens. I found these really cute plant figurines in the Target dollar spot, $5 for 3 of them, and these are going to make over any dish you already own that is white into that bunny serveware. Now the best part about this is you literally just set up the 3 things, put a bowl or a plate on it, it is ready to go, and then the best part is you don't have just a seasonal bunny plate, you can use that plate again year-round. They also have these cute little hook-on ones that will hook onto plants, but you can also hook them onto that same bowl for Easter brunch or whatever activities you are doing. Have a really cute setup and then take them off and just store those for the season. So $5 versus $89, that's a win for me. I fell in love with these glass egg domes at Pottery Barn, but again, $98 for a pack of 3. Well, Target is coming through for us because in their Bullseye's Playground, they have these really awesome ones that you can get that look very similar for only $5. Now you can either leave them as is, or I found these really cute eggs at Michael's that are really fun and colorful, and so I just filled the cloche piece with those. I did 2 packs of eggs, and they are so fun and festive. They are on sale right now as well, and it makes a really fun little vignette. I also had an idea to use this cute little bunny. It fits perfectly inside of the egg, and that's also from the Target dollar spot, so that whole thing together is only $8. Now, as far as a DIY, I wanted to make some of these fun Grandin Road large eggs, and I just wanted something to add to a setup like you see here to add some color. So I took them outside and I grabbed these 4 different colors: sweet pea, French lilac, green apple, and summer squash, all from Rust-Oleum in a matte satin finish. I spray painted all of them different colors. I ended up deciding to do pink, purple, and green, and then I swapped out the yellow actually for a beige, and I'll tell you why in a minute. I absolutely love how these turned out. The matte finish looks beautiful, and I love that they come with those stands so they're just gonna sit up like that. Now you could easily go through and decoupage a napkin or some fabric onto here if you want a print like the inspiration, but I wanted to keep mine plain just because I have a lot of printed stuff already, and I also plan to use this green and beige one for Finn's dinosaur birthday because he thinks they look like dinosaur eggs. So as a reminder, $59.50 for one of the Grandin Road versions, and you can make your own from at Target for $7. Almost every single one of these videos includes one of these centerpieces because they're so easy to dupe, and it is just crazy to me how much Kirkland's and Pottery Barn want for these. So I'm going to use this wood box I made for my Christmas centerpiece, so check out that video if you want to see how I made it. You can also purchase them at Michael's pre-made. Then I hit up the Michael's flower section because it is on sale 40% off, and they have some beautiful florals that fit the overall motif that I was going for. I grabbed this big pick with some fuzzy eucalyptus as well as some other ones that match the inspo, and I also grabbed some Dollar Tree floral foam. So the first thing I like to do when I'm making an arrangement is use tin snips or miter shears to cut all of the little branches off of that main piece on the pick, just because that's going to help you get a more polished look. Another thing I do is remove these under leaves because they don't match my overall look, and that can make it look tacky and a little cheap. So I'm going to remove that, and then I'm going to keep that kind of ethereal, lighter French cottage look. So once I put down all of my floral foam, I'm going to start by creating a bed of this fuzzy eucalyptus. So some of them I cut in half to help with different heights, some of them I used fully. I'm putting them in at an angle so then that way I can create this bed for my flowers to sit on. And here is what that looked like. So it doesn't have to be fully covered up of the floral foam, but you want to try to get a decent base. Now the leaves on these yellow plants are perfect coloration to go with the fuzzy eucalyptus, but if they didn't match or were a different color green, I'd probably pull them off just to, again, make it not look cheap or tacky. And once this is full around the outside, I'm going to add my showstoppers, which are these beautiful garden roses. This muted pink is so pretty, and I also love the white with the pink accents. I thought this would be great for early spring all the way into summer, especially with the pops of yellow. And then I'm just finishing it off with some additional eucalyptus that I had left over on the top to have a little bit of it pop out. One of my best tips to get a well-rounded display is to look at it from all angles, and when you see a hole like I did here, you can either move your larger flowers around or insert some more greenery, and that is going to really help make it look more like a dome instead of one with chunks out of it. So this is going to be great for my dining room starting now all the way through the summer, and here are some ideas on how I'm going to make it Easter, but I can easily take them off. I'm just going to add a garland, some fun bunny statues, and then I also added some of those fun eggs that I had in the cloche earlier from Michael's. I just set them in on the eucalyptus leaves. They look really pretty with the flowers, and when Easter is over, I can just pull them out and I'm back to my spring arrangement. I love getting more use out of things than originally intended, and I saved over 50% off of the Kirkland's one doing it myself. This video is sponsored by Hungryroot, and you guys know that I am picky about the brands that I work with and I bring to you, but I had to share this one because Hungryroot has become a game changer when it comes to our weeknight meals. Hungryroot is a tech-enabled grocery service tailored to you, your lifestyle, and your taste, saving you time all around. A huge win for me is their selection of more than 2,000 easy 10-minute recipes that you can get along with the a la carte process of a grocery order. Having healthy meal planning done for me is huge because if I don't have it planned, I am not eating healthy. You start with a quick quiz about how you like to eat, your dietary needs, and also your goals, and Hungryroot then gave me a spot-on, personalized, pre-filled cart that I could either roll with or tweak before it shipped. The latest box arrived after a busy weekend for us, and it took our empty fridge to a fully stocked one in minutes. It also helped me refill my craft room snack stash. On top of the recipes, I can combine the other items with what we already have, helping us cut down on food waste. Now this is our third Hungryroot box that we've gotten, and we've enjoyed every meal from juicy burgers to flavorful pasta. I have a salmon dish too that I'm going to make tonight, and I am so looking forward to it. Plus, if you want plant-based options, they have that too. My favorite part about Hungryroot is that it's helped us branch out in the meal department, and it's gotten me back into the kitchen and cooking without the stress. If this sounds like it'd be good for you too, act fast because the first 100 people to use my code WHIT40 will get 40% off your first grocery order with Hungryroot. Use the link in the description section or go to hungryroot.com and use code WHIT40 to get 40% off. Now let's get back into the dupes. I got a Google shopping ad for this West Elm garland and I thought it was so cute, but not for 40 bucks. That blew my mind. So we're going to dupe it with some toilet bowl cleaners, and you guys stay with me because I promise you're going to want to see this even if you were just like, what is she doing? So you want to make sure you get those round ones, not the traditional looking ones. Take them up to the register and we are going to get crafting. You're also going to want some orange spray paint. I grabbed this rustic orange satin Rust-Oleum. I also grabbed my 4 colors that I talked about earlier because I also wanted to make a set of these bottle brush carrots, again, West Elm, out of their mind, $49. So I started by taking my tin snips I got off Amazon. I love these things. They can cut through so many different materials. And I originally kind of didn't have enough oomph to get through it in one pass. So I ended up just kind of putting a notch into the wire and then kind of wiggling it around to get the brush piece off the handle because that is what we're interested in. Once I was able to kind of jiggle it around, I was able to get all of the pieces off, and then I took 3 of them and cut them into thirds, and then 3 of them and cut them in half for the different size carrots. Again, I just did a little notch, wiggled it around, and then pulled it apart. So now that we have these little shapes, it's time to make them look like carrots. So I went through with some just regular scissors, and these were kind of dull at first, so make sure you have sharp scissors to cut through here. And once I realized these were too dull, I got annoyed and I ended up just cutting it with the tin snips, and it worked perfect. But you want to create essentially a Christmas tree shape because we're going to flip it around and it's going to be our carrots. You have a lot of fallout, so do that in a space where you can clean it easily. And then I've got all of my different carrots that I took outside and spray painted orange. I just put them on top of a cookie sheet from Dollar Tree. I learned this from Megan over at Glue Guns and Roses. It's a great tip to keep your items up off your drying mat. And then I flipped them over once they had dried a little bit and gave them a second coat. I did the same thing. I did a purple, a pink, a green, and a yellow one just for some fun, whimsy colored carrots for Easter. That's the time I like to incorporate rainbows the most. Then I grabbed this raffia I recently got on Amazon. It's just some paper ribbon, and I did some loops to create the stem. So with a little bit of overhang left over, I'm going to use that to wrap it around the bottom. And then I'm going to use hot glue to hook that together, as well as to hook it on to my little carrot. Now here I got my finger once and realized, okay, I need to get my little finger protector. So to do this, I would highly recommend the Dollar Tree finger protectors. Once it was all glued around that little stem, then I chopped the top and gave it a little haircut, fluffed it out, and I had some carrots. So I'm going to do that to all my carrots, and now my larger ones are done. So these are going to be great to fill out vignettes, just add some color. I've got them in this cute little basket I got from Michael's. This is in a container from Target, but I love the different colors. They're a little brighter than the West Elm inspiration, but I don't mind that because I like bright, vibrant colors for Easter. Now for the Garland dupe, I took a little bit more of that raffia, I tied it around the stem portion and gave myself a little loop so that I could string it up on some jute twine along with some spacer beads. I hung this up and this is so fun and cute, especially for the novelty of a carrot garland. I'm not trying to spend a crazy amount of money, so using Dollar Tree items to dupe this overall look was perfect here. So again, $40. And if you include all the things like the raffia, the spray paint, as well as the toilet bowl brushes from Dollar Tree, we're all in at $9, over 75% off. If you're new to Whiskey and Wit and you love printables, you are in the right place. I love this bunny image and I decided to take inspiration from a lot of other artwork pieces on Kirkland's website to create a printable pack for you guys. I've got 20 new options for 2023, which is so exciting. And this bunny is a direct dupe from the website. So I made these really pretty rustic frames in my recent video, my 1x2 easy projects video, and I made the entire thing for $3, and then you just add a mat. I decided to use the two that I had left over from that video to mount a bunny head as well as some carrots. Now, I offer printables on my blog in 5x7, 8x10, and 8.5x11, so you can select what size works for you and add them to frames you already have. I love how the wood frames turned out. This one's from Hobby Lobby, and I think this print is gorgeous. This frame is from Walmart. Same with this one, so there are a lot of different places you can get cheap, affordable, really nice quality frames, and you can just swap out the printables from season to season. So this is just a taste. Head over there and download the entire pack so you can see what you have to work with, and you can either print them out at home yourself, or you can send them to a place like UPS, FedEx, or you can even print them as a picture at Walgreens. So just with that one piece of art, I saved 75% doing it myself. And if you like those bunnies next to the printables, you're gonna love this dupe for these terracotta bunnies from Pottery Barn. They wanted $207 for the set of 3, and you guys, I can't even believe I'm saying that. So I went on a hunt and I was able to find a variety of different bunnies, from Joann's to these are from the Target dollar spot, but the ones that I fell in love with the most were these from Hobby Lobby. And yes, we are not going to keep them blue, but I thought the shape was perfect, and I loved that they had a bunny that was laying down, and so did the inspiration. Now, Hobby Lobby has a ton of other options for bunnies this year, so you could do this to any of those. And I also grabbed this one, which was in the garden section or spring section, not the Easter section, so just an FYI there. So I'm going to start by neutralizing all these bunnies to get them on the same level for color. So I mixed some baking soda in with some white acrylic paint just so it would be thicker on there and start to give us the look of terracotta or even stone. And I'm going in the same direction as the hair on the bunnies. Now I'm not worried that it's 100% covered, but I do want to get a good prime coat going. Then I'm mixing together a little bit of beige as well as khaki and some white with some more of that baking soda to go in for the next layer. Now to get the look I wanted, I kind of had to experiment. So I started by just applying this color, and this didn't give me the kind of stone rustic look I was going for. So I ended up painting it on, and while the paint was wet, I went through with some antique wax. This is just Waverly Chalk Paints wax, and it's a dark brown, and I put it on top of the wet paint, and I didn't do it like as a full coverage. I did some different chunks, as you're gonna see here, and that really gave me the look that I wanted. Now these are a little bit darker than the inspiration, but that's the great part about DIYing. I wanted mine to be a little bit different of a color to fit my house. So once I went through and got them all painted and added the darkness, I let them dry overnight. And then I went through with some 150 grit sandpaper and just scuffed up some of the areas because that terracotta stone on the inspiration had some distress marks. Then my last step was to go outside, and I'm just using a sealer I already had. You don't need this heavy dewy sealer. I just didn't want to have to buy a bottle just for this project, but you can even use clear spray paint just to seal it so the paint doesn't chip off. I'm obsessed with these. I love them so much, and I like the look of the bunnies that I went with actually better than the other ones. Now these don't have like the full eyes, but the other ones really don't have a face at all, and so I like this version better. But like I said, you can find bunnies pretty much anywhere to match what you like, and then just do this painting technique over the top to get you that Pottery Barn look for less. So as a reminder, don't fall over, but $207 for the set of 3, and my set of 3 was about $44 all in, but you can obviously find cheaper bunnies or even shop your house or a thrift store. This time for the past few years, at least since I've become a mom, I've seen these Pottery Barn baskets all over Instagram, and every year I go look and my heart breaks because they're $60 for an Easter basket. So this year I was determined to figure out a dupe for you guys, and I did, and I'm so excited. I found these baskets with removable liners at Michael's on sale for 30% off. The larger ones were $20 and the smaller ones were $14.99. So I ended up going with this blue one, and I also grabbed this carrot one for decor, but Hobby Lobby also has a ton of other options. Their Easter is on sale 40% off now, and they've got everything from pom-poms to rainbows, a ton of options, so you could do that with those too. Step 1 is to remove your liner from the basket so it is easier to work with. And then I laid it out how I wanted it to sit on the basket, and I measured to see how big I could put Finn's name on there. Now to do my faux embroidery by hand, I went into Canva and I made a document the size of my measurement, which was 2 inches tall by 6 inches wide. I use this font called Brian Kimberly. I'm pretty sure it's a free download. I will link it down below if it is. And I downloaded the image. Now, because Finn's name isn't long, I ended up just cropping it. So when I went to resize, it was all around how I wanted it. So once it was cropped, I went up to image options at the top, and this is a great hack to resize anything. I went over to the size portion and I changed the height to 2 inches because that's how tall I wanted it to be. Then I printed it out just on regular printer paper, and I used this as a stencil. So I trimmed it, slid it under where I wanted it to go on the liner, and then I also slid my cell phone underneath with the screen illuminated, and that helped me see the name better to trace it. I'm using a super thin Sharpie and going over very carefully to trace the name so that I have a guide on my liner, and then it was time to stitch. So I ended up using just some Dollar Tree dark blue, more like cotton thread or cotton yarn versus the fuzzy yarn. And you could honestly do this with whatever. I went through and traced the entire thing with a chain stitch, and I just watched a YouTube video to teach myself how to do it. So I will link that down below. It's pretty simple, but the way I was doing it with learning and doing it, it was hard to show and explain and do the whole thing, but it's a pretty easy stitch to do. And then when I was done, I tied off the back, trimmed any excess yarn, and I added it right back to that basket. I pulled it a little bit just so it would sit flat, just because I'm not a professional embroiderer, so it pulled a little bit. But I think this looks so cute, and especially because it is not the full $60. I also love that there's a story behind it, and I think he'll be able to use this for years to come. So the fact that I think his mom took the time to hand stitch this for him is really nice. Maybe I'll just tell myself that. He's 2, almost 3, he probably won't care, but I do, and I think it's nice and sentimental. It was pretty easy, and your reward is great. So no joke, for the past 2 years, I've had a tulip wreath on my list for these Kirkalnds Dupes videos, and then for some reason, it's just fallen off. Well, this year is the year that we're doing it. So back to Michael's floral section, I found these tulip bushes for $1.99 each, regularly $3.99. I grabbed 8 tulip bushes, and then I also grabbed one of these Dollar Tree wreath forms. So I have my spray paint tent set up in the garage because it's a little chilly in Illinois, and I love this thing. It is so nice. And then I took some smoky beige to spray paint the outside of the wreath form. Now that is totally optional, but when you're working with lighter color flowers like this, I like to have a lighter color behind the wreath form. So you can if you want, if not, the black will work. So then I'm taking my tin snips like I did before. I'm removing all of the individual pieces, and then I'm going to start by taking groups of 3, tying the bottom with some jute twine, and making sure I have some additional ends so that I can tie it onto my wreath form. Now, I don't use a lot of hot glue, if any, on wreaths. I like to tie my greenery and florals on with jute twine. I think it's more forgiving that way. The jute twine blends in and it looks more natural and kind of rustic in your wreath. And it also is easier to slide your pieces up and down the wreath form rather than gluing them, because I like to adjust until the very end, even after I think I'm done with the wreath. So once I went around the outside with the groups of 3, I went back through on the inner ring of the wreath, and I'm adding groups of 2 there. Then once I got to a spot where I felt like I needed to really see it hanging up, I hung it up on the door to my craft room, just on a wreath hook, so I could add the pieces and really see how it was going to hang. Because it's one thing to make something sitting on the table, but then it's another thing to hang it up and kind of see where things are going to fall. So once I knew it was full enough to my liking, I went back through with some smaller pieces of jute twine to tie some of the pieces of tulips to different parts of the wreath form. That's going to make it so this is going to continually be a circle, and things aren't going to fall, things aren't going to move, and it's really going to give you that nice round look. And then you can be done there. You can absolutely leave it as is. I think this is beautiful. They did have white tulips, so if you like that vibe, that is great too, but I loved these colors. I also decided to add this Happy Easter Cottontail Farms sign that I got at Dollar Tree recently. It's the perfect size for this setup, and also this line art is really popular at the higher end stores right now, and so I thought this was a very nice nod to that high-end dupe look. But the nice thing is you can remove this after Easter and you've got a spring wreath for the rest of the time. So there's $69.99. I was able to make mine all in $19, so nearly 70% off. So I cannot lie, I was scared about this dupe. I thought I could maybe do it, but I was a little nervous. I grabbed a cutting board from Walmart that I shared in my recent haul. For some reason this says $8.57, but it was actually $5.57. And I also grabbed one of these Spring Shop cutting boards that I love from Hobby Lobby. I removed the stickers, and then I needed to do a little bit of sanding on the Walmart one just so the sticker piece wasn't still on there. And I went ahead and measured, and one was about 8 inches across and one was 8.5. Then I created this dupe file that says welcome to our burrow with these little lines and bunnies, and I cut 1 to 8 inches, 1 to 8.5 inches. I weeded it like a stencil, and then I applied it on, and we are going to try some wood burning today. I kid you not when I say, as I'm doing this, I'm voice texting Courtney over at Creative on the Cheap, asking about how to do this because she loves torch paste that we're going to use. And I was also saying, pray for me, because I want to make sure that it wasn't a huge disaster. She highly recommended this, and so I decided to try it out. Once your stencil is applied, you take this goopy orange stuff, and I just used an extra Cricut squeegee thing that I had. I applied it, and then I'm scraping it across just like I do when I do screen printing of t-shirts. Honestly, it was a pretty easy process. I did the same thing on the cutting board from Hobby Lobby, and that process was a little bit more of a pain because my vinyl didn't really want to stick because it has a sealant on it. This unfinished one worked a lot better. So when I peeled the one up off the Hobby Lobby one, this is where I went wrong, you guys. I tried to add a little bit more on there because I realized it didn't really coat the inside of the bunny, and you'll see that was not a good choice. So I started on the low setting thinking that maybe that would get hot enough. It did not. So I cranked it up to high, and you just want to make sure you're moving your heat gun around. And this is a Mac Daddy heat gun. So I specifically purchased this heat gun when I purchased the torch paste. Both came highly recommended by Courtney. I swear, probably half of her sales on Amazon are from me because she's always showing cool stuff and I'm over here ordering it. But that neither here nor there. I had really good luck with the first one once it started burning, and you want to just make sure you're moving it around so you don't have a huge like scorch circle. But the Hobby Lobby board didn't give me as great of results as the unfinished wood one. So the verdict is in. I love this torch paste stuff. There was a little bit of a learning curve, a little bit of bleeding, but I have never done this before, so I think it turned out pretty good. The Hobby Lobby one, it scorched really high. I didn't get everything down. The stencil didn't really stick, so that one, meh. But this one from Walmart, I think is legit, and I'm really excited to display this. So the Kirkland's one was almost $70, and for that price, you can literally buy a heat gun, the whole thing of torch paste, and the cutting board from Walmart. So here's the final comparison, but my biggest thing that I love is the fact that I got to try out torch paste, and a huge thank you to Courtney for coaching me through it. I owe you one. Thank you. That's going to do it for this video. You guys have got to let me know. I know I ask every time and you say it's hard, but let me know your favorite or a few favorites. Just what are you loving about the dupes? Which ones are you planning on recreating? And if you do recreate them, be sure to share it on social media and tag me. I want to start some like brag posts on my blog so I can share photos that you guys have done and recreated different projects by season. So you can either share those via social media. All of my channels and handles and all the things are tagged down below, or you can always send it to hello@whiskeyandwhit.com and that will get to me and we can add it that way as well. A huge thank you to Hungryroot for sponsoring this video. Be sure to head down to the description and use the code, because the first 100 people that use the code WHIT40 will get 40% off their first Hungryroot order. Thanks so much to you for watching. Be sure to hit subscribe if you haven't done so already so you don't miss a future video, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye!